Well, hi again everybody, welcome to my latest video. Well, in this one I'm going to do a review of something that I bought. A new wireless headset. So I can, do recordings, possibly do live streaming, things like that. Maybe even getting into some gaming at some point. Being tethered with wires is a real problem. I believe this one will connect USB to my computer and is wireless. It is the Corsair Void RGB Elite Wireless. So we'll open this up and we'll take a look at it. I actually bought it with mostly the money that I got from my children for Father's Day. They gave it to me in a Micro Center gift card. So I expect it to be great. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. Okay, let's open this guy up. What do we got in here? Well, the whole thing comes out. An instruction manual. Okay, what do we got here? Well, warranty guide, safety and compliance, and then the instruction booklet. We got some cables. Oh, looks like a mini USB to a standard Type A USB connector. It is Type 2 from the coloring. That doesn't always mean it, but usually it does. We've got some pop/win buffers for the microphone. And we've got, I guess this is the part that goes into the actual computer, the transmitter receiver part of it. Corsair. Okay. And that's it. That's all that's in the box. Let me take this out of here. Okay. Take off some of this plastic here. It's not really a tear, just some protective plastic on the microphone and a protective plastic up on the head support, and I'll put this on and see what it looks like. It is adjustable. It's blocking out all of the sounds. I can barely hear myself actually talk. It's got the microphone here. I can put the little breaker on it. And there you go. This can be bent around, it looks like. Well, it goes up and down. It doesn't stay if I bend it to the front here. So it just sort of hangs out in the near my mouth like that. I guess that's good in a way because I won't try to, cause too much of a pop when I breathe into it. I guess the next thing I'll do is I'll test it and see how it looks. Okay, before we actually use it, I'm going to plug in the charging cable, which goes in right over here, and I'm going to have it charge up. It has a little red light here. When that turns green, we're fully charged. And here we go. We're fully charged now. The light has turned green. The instructions are quite vague on this. Please stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you a problem that I encountered dealing with the charging and discharging as well. I'll be covering that in more detail towards the end so that I don't interrupt the actual flow of this video. Okay, let me demonstrate some of what you hear through the headset. For example, when I turn it on. And then I will power it on.
Powering on, mic on.
There you go. That's the type of thing that you hear from it. Now let me try to play a video on it so you can get an idea of what it sounds like. Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. On this channel you'll find a variety of different types of videos. I focus mostly on computer technology and other technologies that somewhat depend on computer technology. I also do other things, home and garden, home repairs, and all sorts of various things that I've learned over the course of my lifetime that you might find useful. Let me show you a few. Okay, now you could hear it right from there. Obviously, it's not going to be the same going through a microphone from a headset to a microphone, but at least you get an idea of generally how it's going to sound. I think the quality is quite good. I haven't tried the 7.1 surround sound yet, but I'll try that, and I'll let you know if there's any problems with it. Now I have the headset on and connected through OBS. How does that sound? Looks like it's registering pretty good sound in terms of the OBS meters, but I won't know until I play it back exactly what it's like. But anyway, that's an example of what the actual voice coming through this little microphone is. Now I have the windshield on it, pop filter / windshield, so that may change it a little bit, but I think this is going to be representative of how it sounds. Let me quickly show you the software that's involved with this headset. Matter of fact, I'm using the headset right now as I'm creating this little screen capture. You have to go to the Corsair.com downloads directory, and then in downloads you pick software, and when you pick software you're going to come up with this screen here, and you want to pick the Corsair IQ software, and you got to pick this later version 4. I tried the version 3 one and that caused errors. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe that was incompatible with my current version of Windows, but I went ahead and downloaded by just clicking on this little download here and installing it. Pretty straightforward, nothing to explain here, but once you've installed it, you're going to wind up with the IQ software. And once you run it, this is what you'll see in the entrance page. And if you come in here, you will find that you can go and see some of the statistics of your CPU and your GPU and everything else, and the load on everything in your system. But the important thing to do here is to click on the actual headset. If you click on this thing, then it opens up the 3 submenus to it. So if you go to device settings, which is where I started out, you will see the actual things that you can set up. It's showing a 92% battery status right now. I can do a check for firmware updates. I did update the firmware, which is pretty straightforward right now, so there's no newer version. Version 0.08 must be the newest. You could change the brightness of the LEDs. You can show the battery gauge, the voice prompt, and the auto shutoff, which I currently have set to 10 minutes. I think it defaulted to 5 though. And if you come into the equalizer, you can actually play with your sound. How do you want the sound to come out? I'm not a sound expert, so I'm not going to play with this any. But if, for example, you want more highs or more low tones, you can play with these little sliders here, right? Get yourself to adjust what you want. You also have the side tones you can adjust and the general tones. This is something to play around with if you're interested in doing that. And if you look at the lighting effects, that's the light on the side. And this little representative picture here is showing what's really on my actual headset right at this moment as I'm using it. That is what I'm seeing. And if I want to change it to a different color, I can do that here. I can change it to, my blue to match the computer that I have on the side here, or I could change it to anything that I want. You could change it from single blink, double blink, change it to rapid blink. You could change it to alternating between different blinks. You have different options here, presets. You can set those. Do you want a static color? Right now it's a static white, and that's exactly what I have showing in my mirror. I could change it to anything that I want. And you could do a lot of other effects that they give you here. Rainbow effect, a beat, a breathing effect, and you can play around with this. So these are the options that are available to you in the IQ software that directly controls. And I'm not plugged in. This headset that I have on, and it's actually showing that color right now, it did it wirelessly. So once I plugged in the wireless connector onto the computer, it works fine. It's apparently communicating those changes over to the headset. You have to be careful with this because the instructions tell you not to use it until it's fully charged. So it's critical that you do that, because if you do, you could run into the problem that I had. I actually thought I bricked this thing, and then I went ahead and did some searching online, and I found a solution to it. I think it was actually in the Corsair site. The power on switch is right here, and you just hold it down for like 3 seconds and it comes on normally. However, I could not get it to come back on. The instructions then said for how to reset the unit. And it said to hold down the mute button for about 15 seconds. That's this button here. So press it down and hold it, count slowly to 15. And then switch over to the power on button and hold it until the thing comes on. Well, I think the instructions were wrong because it said make sure that it's not plugged in and make sure that it is actually on. I think they meant that it's off. Obviously, the problem was that we couldn't get it to come back on again. But it didn't work for me at first, and I thought that those instructions were totally bogus until I plugged the power connector back in, because the power connector did not even indicate the red light that it was charging anymore. It was off completely. There was no green, there was no red. I thought it was dead completely, obviously, bricked in other words. However, once I did that reset, there must have been just enough power in here to do the actual reset. And then when I plugged the actual power cable back in to the charging port here, this micro USB, the red light came back on, and about 2 hours later it turned green, and when that happened, it all worked fine. So right now I can actually do this. You turn it on by holding down about 3 seconds, and there it goes, fully functional at this point. Now I'm convinced I had that problem because I started using it. Actually, I thought just setting it up while it was plugged in wouldn't be a problem, even though it had not fully charged yet. But I guess I was wrong. Obviously, once I powered it off after configuring it, it just wouldn't come back on again. And I had to follow that procedure I just described in order to get it all to work. I was already looking at RMAing it and everything else. So just keep that in mind. So that concludes this review of this Corsair wireless headset, the Void RGB wireless headset. Anyway, I think it did extremely well. I like it, and I'll be using it probably mostly in live streams going forward, but we'll see how it actually works out when I try to do my first one. So hopefully you got something out of this video, and if you did, or you can use this material in any way, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would really be helpful. Well, until the next time, stay safe and please stay healthy.